Hey, what's up, guys? I am so excited today to have my friend Elissa with us. She's a voice expert. I've learned a ton from her. So I think you're going to learn a lot in this interview. Elissa started Vibrant Voice, which I've been using. You might have seen a video where I talked about using my toothbrush on my throat a little bit. And she also has a program called How Your Voice Works, and I subscribe to that, and it's awesome. So she has lots of cool things to say about the voice, and today I'm going to let her play devil's advocate a little bit on 3 things about the voice that have sort of blown my mind and my own self-discovery of my own voice. The first one is singing higher, head resonance, and how I've found that it's better to actually sing way more in head resonance than it is to sing in chest resonance when you're practicing on a daily basis, if you already have a good chest resonance sound established. So if you can go, oh my love, and sing pretty well in chest resonance, then you should actually be practicing it like, oh my love, more often, because that's the coordination that you need to find. So that's the first thing. The second thing is screaming, because she's a voice expert. Let's talk about screaming. And the third one, lately I haven't been warming up at all. And so that's totally new for me. I know I've done a lot of videos on warm-ups and how you should warm up. And now I've kind of changed my mind. I don't think you should warm up. So we're going to get Elissa's feelings on that. How much time should people spend singing in head resonance? Like that actual higher might be falsetto if they want to improve their range versus chest resonance. What are your thoughts?
So, I'll just say that I call myself a vocal health educator. So I come at all this stuff from the angle of how does the instrument work, and therefore why does something work, or maybe why does something else work better? So when you're saying that it's really helpful to sing in head resonance, it makes me think of the position of the vocal cords. So when we're in chest resonance, the vocal cords are making more complete contact with each other. There's more, the depth of the vocal cords themselves are contacting each other. When we go into head voice, there's less of the depth of the vocal cords contacting each other. And then if we go all the way up into falsetto, which Estel voice work, for instance, called stiff vocal folds. Like it really is just sort of the ligament, just the edge of the vocal cords vibrating and meeting. So it's actually, they're held much more stiffly, and it's a lot less of the depth of the body of the muscle tissue. So I think the reason that what you're describing could be helpful is because if people have established a good chest voice, and if they're having issues with their passagio, chances are, if we've established a strong chest voice, it might be possible that we're actually squeezing the bulk of the vocal cords together more strongly than necessary. That we're actually sort of engaging excess muscular effort more than we need to. So what singing in head voice or falsetto will teach us is how to engage less of those muscles, how to let those muscles go, right? So if we spend some time singing in our upper range, we learn what it's like to let go of the bulk of the body of the vocal cords. And then my guess is that when we start to employ them again, we start to learn to employ them more efficiently. Does that make sense to you hearing that, David?
Okay. Yes, it does. Yes.
Uh-huh.
So you're saying that basically as people sing higher, they're using so much of this musculature that they don't need. And it's hard to know, how do you get rid of, or possibly, how do you get rid, and that's was a big problem for me for so many years. How do you get rid of all that musculature? You can't see it. All you feel is tension. And like, that's the biggest thing. Okay, I get here, I break. Like, what do I do? Okay, so there's almost no physical experience that you can have besides singing in head resonance or head voice that actually simulates what you should be doing.
Yeah, I mean, there are exercises. Yeah, no, it's a great question, because it's not something that's talked about very often, and it's not something that's taught very often. And I too ran into trouble. The whole reason I became a voice coach is because I lost my voice a decade ago. And I think a huge aspect of why I lost my voice is because I was really, really pressing those muscles of the vocal cords together more strongly than necessary. And I just fatigued myself and overused and tired out, right? Mm-hmm. So, and that is a common issue for people. And when you start hearing those sounds where like people are skrelting and it feels like, they're really, really pushing, that's maybe the sound that corresponds to the excess muscular effort. So Yeah, I mean, like there are things we can do. But you're exactly right to point out that we can't see those muscles and they're small. And furthermore, in terms of how the nervous system works, we don't have a lot of direct kinesthetic, like motor, response from them, right? Like I can move my fingers like this, but I can't voluntarily ask my vocal cords to do a corresponding action. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
They're fired in a different way. So it's really tricky for us to figure out how to isolate it. Massage, like if you have an issue and you go see a speech therapist and they teach you to massage around your larynx, that can help with that muscle tension. Obviously you mentioned the vibrant voice technique can help with it as well. But I think you're totally right that singing in head voice or falsetto is a pretty darn effective way to feel what it feels like to use less of the bulk of the musculature in your throat.
Yeah, I've now thought that falsetto is probably the most overlooked falsetto / light head voice in singing whole songs. Potentially in that resonance is the most overlooked vocal use of that guys have that we should be using. Because when you look at, Michael Jackson, possibly like the greatest voice of all time, pop.
Sure.
Right? And he did tons of songs entirely in falsetto. Prince, obviously the same, like icon level. I mean, one of the few icons we could say, an entire song's Kiss. You don't have to be beautiful. Entire songs all in falsetto. And it sounded incredible. I Want to Be Your Lover. Many of his biggest hits, he almost at least half the song sang in falsetto. And what I realized is that there was no, okay, now I'm singing in falsetto, now I'm singing in chest resonance, now I'm singing in head voice. There was none of that. There was just, I sing songs in that head resonance. And then because it was so powerful, and now one of the main songs I want people to listen to is Don't Stop Till You Get Enough by Michael Jackson. Mm-hmm. I didn't even ever realize until I went back and listened closely, he's singing the whole song in basically falsetto, but it's got so much power that you can't even really tell, it's that in between of like, he would be, instead of going Prince style, fever, is the feeling now, but instead he would go, fever is the feeling now. Like, great example.
Yeah.
So he would just add just a little bit more. And it was just enough to almost like trick your mind into thinking he was singing get up where the falls, don't stop till you get enough. Anyway, get up where the falls, don't stop till you get enough. So which one am I even singing in there? I don't even know, So it's
but you're making more contact with your vocal cords is what you're adding there.
Yeah.
And you're right also to say that then, what is passagio? Passagio is shifting gears in terms of the edge that the vocal cords are meeting on, right? Like I'm like, this is chest, this is head, this is falsetto. If I'm, being kind of simplistic with my hands, right? And so, of course, a lot of times, like gunk, right? We hear like an awkward and clunky gear shift, right? Yeah. But the more that we learn how to add the bulk back underneath it from top down, I agree. I think the easier it is then to navigate your falsetto or your passagio, I should say.
Passagio, yeah. Mm-hmm. So now my newest thought, and Elissa might disagree, but my newest thought, if I was going to teach somebody, how to expand their range, and they would go, oh, what about the passagio? What about that in-between space in my voice? What exercises can I do to get through that? Personally, I wouldn't say, oh, here's these exercises to get through it. I would say, let's first just have you sing some songs. Take that, like, I Want to Be Your Lover, and do it in a bunch of different keys, all in that falsetto range. And then just start adding a little bit more power into that. So let's say if the original key is, I want to be your lover, then, do it up there. First light, I want to be your lover. Then add it, I want to be your lover. And then add it, then bring it down. I want to be your lover. I want to be your love. And then, so at a certain point, it actually just disappears.
Yeah.
Because you've got so much power in that sort of bridge area that you don't even have to learn how to bridge through it. Here's your passagio, and you've already brought it down to the point that it just doesn't even exist anymore. Versus like, here's a passagio, and then all during this space right here, we just have to kind of get through it,
I believe everything starts with mindset. So I totally appreciate what you're saying. I sort of had the moment where I was like, well, I've never seen that happen, but do I think it's possible? Totally. And I bet it has happened for people out there. So and even in my classical singing training, I was taught to bring my head voice down to bridge my passagio. That was sort of the classical, soprano way to do things. So I think some people employ that, and then in our sort of pop musical theater land, what we wind up doing is being like, I want to belt higher, right? And just like carrying everything up as high as we possibly can.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think this is an awesome exploration. I love the idea.